Hi, and welcome again to Meet RX Success Stories. I'm Brooke, and today I'll be talking to Sylvia, Coach Sylvia. We're both coaches here on the Meet RX platform. Hi, Sylvia, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great seeing you, Brooke.
Yes, thank you for coming on, taking the time to share with our listeners about your carnivore experiences and what you've been learning about with the carnivore diet.
For sure.
And I want to just start with what was the pathway for you to come to the carnivore diet? What was going on for you, and what were you eating before?
Yes, so prior to going carnivore, I was on the conventional ketogenic diet. And I've experimented with many different diets. I was always interested in health and longevity. So I've experimented just about with every diet, including being pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, low carb, paleo. And I'm never dogmatic about it. I just wanted to see what really worked for me. And then so I was really involved in all those low carb conferences, keto conferences. And on one of those conferences, I saw Dr. Sophia Clemens from Paleomedicina making her presentation, demonstrating that all autoimmunity disorders are caused by actually leaky gut. And they had a test to measure the level of your leakiness, and they had a diet that was supposed to remedy that, which is called paleoketogenic diet, which you can think of it as a variant of carnivore diet. It's a carnivore diet with emphasis on organ meats, plus you are supposed to stay in continuous ketosis. 2 millimoles is the ideal.
So really featuring organ meats and fat.
Right. Yeah, you're supposed to consume fat to protein ratio 2:1 by dry matter, which maybe sounds a little bit exotic. So I used to eyeball it more or less, and then I used to track it in the application, MyFitnessPal, where I would aim for at least 80% of calories from fat and 20% from proteins.
Were you carnivore or keto diet when you heard her talk?
I was on the ketogenic diet.
Yeah. And what was that ketogenic diet then for you? Because it's such a broad definition.
Yeah, so conventional ketogenic diet is great to begin with, but it has its shortcomings, namely the overconsumption of all those MCT oils, coconut oils, keto snack, keto desserts, keto this, keto that. And, maybe that's good for beginning, but it's not ideal for ultimate health. So oftentimes it is understood that ketogenic diet is helpful, let's say with epilepsy. But as per Paleomedicina, if you don't remove dairy, you won't have as good of results. And these are probably the these are the shortcomings of the conventional ketogenic diet. Just getting into ketosis and lowering carbohydrates isn't the end of story.
Yes, and it utilizes a lot of nuts and seeds.
Yes, that's another one. And if you are dealing with autoimmunity, nuts and seeds are not on your side.
No, they're not. And so what was that like for you to go into the PKD diet?
Yes, so as soon as I finished listening to her, I went to the website, I ordered the PEG 400 test, I purchased the diet, and they will ship a PEG 400 test anywhere in the world as long as you have access to FedEx. And so I did the test. It's a urine test. You have to drink PEG 400 solution and then collect all of your urine in this span of 6 hours, make a sample of it and ship it back to them. And then they provide you with the analysis. And when I saw my results, the limits were somewhere here and my gut permeability was about here. So when I saw it, I was very sorry for myself. I was having all that negative talk. Why is this happening to me? I went to bed crying, and then overnight I became a dedicated carnivore.
Did they reassure you that that was actually not all that uncommon to have such a gut permeability problems in this day and age?
No, after her presentation, I was convinced that that is the case, and I had this understanding that more than we would like to admit it, most of us have varying degrees of gut permeability.
Yeah.
But I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in my late 20s, but the disease didn't really take off until I was 34, something like that. And I was trying to treat it in all kinds of different ways. I was going after my joints, then after my immune system. And the moment I started addressing leaky gut issues was when I started seeing changes and reversal of inflammation.
That's great. And so the test basically shows the degree. And I'm wondering, does that vary often? Is there sort of a flow with that, or is it pretty kind of consistent? Do you know? Did they say about that?
So the PEC 400 has about 11 different size molecules of glycol. And depending, so they will measure what size of the glycol was recovered in your urine and over the period of time. So it will show you how much and how quickly of it gets into your blood, and then how it is being eliminated from your blood.
So that would be like a certain day, a day.
It's on the span of 6 hours.
6 hours, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you embarked on their regimen.
Yes, and the diet is pretty strict. So 80% of your calories come from saturated fats, only animal fats. So we're talking about tallow, beef tallow, lard, duck fat, maybe butter, but they're not big fans of butter because a lot of people with autoimmunity have problems tolerating butter. But in my case, it wasn't a problem. They say eggs are okay, but not for everybody. So it is also something you have to try. It depends how bad your autoimmunity is. And they prefer ruminant meats, some pork, maybe chicken, some fish, but not the full spectrum of seafood. And so if you're a big fan of seafood, they say not to replace it, not to make it a major source of calories or proteins.
Yes. Wrong fats. So were you eating mostly tallow then as your fat?
Yeah, so I eat tallow, lard, and butter, sometimes duck fat.
And you were able to find good sources of lard?
Oh, yes. So here in New York City, you have a lot of ethnic stores where in traditional cuisines, lard is the preferred frying fat. So it's not difficult to get it in New York City.
Very good. I mean, I know there's big differences with lard depending on how the pig is fed in this country.
But in my opinion, even if you buy the cheapest lard, it's still more beneficial than a seed oil.
Absolutely. And so what did you cook for yourself during this time?
So for the household, we got air fryer, grill with the barbecue option. So I would say about 50% of the meat I consumed was beef, either as steak or beef chunks, minced beef. And I always added extra fat to it. So either butter or tallow. If I was, then the rest would be probably at 35% pork, some fish on occasion, and some chicken, but it had to be grass-fed and organic. If I just ate any chicken, it didn't make me feel too great.
Yeah, I understand that organ meat is really important in that diet. So what were the organs that you were choosing?
Yeah, so I love pork kidneys, and I love liver. And I actually grew up on a meat-based diet because my father was a rancher and he was raising pigs and some cattle and sheep. So we ate meat daily. And so we ate organ meats as just was a regular part of our diet. So it wasn't difficult to eating it again.
Very good. And I know that they include quite a bit of it. So like every meal would probably have some organs.
They say once a week.
Oh, just once a week?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever I see their presentations, it's usually some organ meat on the plate.
Yeah, they have a formula how much of it you should be eating, but I don't remember it right now.
Yeah, great. And so what were the changes that you were noticed right away?
Yeah, so rheumatoid arthritis is really responsive to this way of eating. So I noticed major improvement. I would say I got better by 80% within 10 days of being on the strict carnivore diet.
And before that, you were eating keto. You were not eating carnivore at all. And so you went to PKD carnivore.
Right. And I think the major problem with the conventional ketogenic diet in people with autoimmunity is the overconsumption of dairy. It's a big one.
Oh, even more so than the 8 cups of crucifix vegetables
Right.
and nuts and seeds. Okay.
Right. So I cut out dairy, cut out tea, coffee, everything, like one after another. Some things were easier to give up than others, but you know, my goal was I am going to reverse it. I have the tool. I am going to make it work one way or another, or make it happen or die trying.
Yeah, very good. And
so in 10 days, I noticed that about 85% of my symptoms were gone. And we're talking about inflammation in all of my toes, my feet, even my heels, my ankles, my left knee, all my fingers, wrists, elbows, and shoulders. That's where most of my arthritis was. So after 10 days, I only had it left in my fingers and in my wrists. And another 2 months, I was completely free of all symptoms.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, has your diet...
also conclusion of paleomedicina that rheumatoid arthritis is one of the most responsive disorders to this diet.
Yeah. How has your diet changed since then?
So sometimes out of curiosity and sometimes just to see what happens, I tried reintroducing some foods. I would say some things I can tolerate. I can eat sauerkraut, but I make sure I make it myself. I tried reintroducing back tea, and that didn't work out, which was a big surprise to me. I didn't think tea would be causing autoimmunity, but it was definitely triggering for me. If I wanted to, I could have some fruit, not the exotic ones, but like pears, apples. But I tried reintroducing it and I just didn't enjoy it all that much. So I went back to being carnivore. I don't pay attention that much to being ketosis anymore. I think if you want to be in that very strict therapeutic phase, I think it's good to be in ketosis, and it's beneficial for people with autoimmunity. There is some studies suggesting that being in ketosis for extended period of times, and if your ketones are higher than your glucose, that it will shut down the pro-inflammatory pathway and open up anti-inflammatory pathway. So that's something to consider with people with autoimmunity, but I don't think it's a must.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to be in ketosis of 2 millimoles.
Yes. Yeah. And so now, since you're not worried so much about being in ketosis on that level, so does that mean you have changed your fat protein ratio?
Yeah, I probably eat more proteins now than I did before, because you really need to eat a lot of fat to be in ketosis over to, like we're talking about probably 5 tablespoons of tallow on top of what you normally eat.
Yeah.
To achieve that level of ketosis.
So what's an example now of what you're eating?
So the satiety levels are increasing a lot when you're on this diet for extended period of time. So I usually am okay with 2 meals a day. So I'll typically start my day with lunch, which would be usually either steak, pork chops, or minced beef, maybe beef chunks, stew type meat. And then for dinner, similarly, sometimes maybe chicken breast, maybe fish, but not too often. The majority of my meat is fatty steaks and pork.
And are you using any condiments?
No, not really. Salt, sometimes pepper.
Yeah. And do you drink coffee? Did you?
I gave up coffee.
Work, but you didn't. Sorry?
I gave up coffee.
You gave up coffee, so you didn't reintroduce coffee, and you're not using dairy.
No, and I tried, if I have a tiny bit for one day, I can get away with it. But if I start bringing it back, I start feeling it in my joints.
And is that the same with eggs? Did you try eggs?
I can eat eggs in unlimited quantities, no problem.
So eggs are fine. Egg whites.
Eggs are fine. Butter is fine. Yeah.
Well, that's good, because there's a lot of things you could do with eggs and butter.
Yeah, and this is the easy food you can, you can take to go. You can boil some eggs and take it if you have to go out and without eating outside or buying food from outside.
Now, do you live within a family?
Yeah, I live with my husband and my son.
So is everyone practicing this diet, or are there?
So they both of them are on a low carb spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a little bit of play in their diets.
Oh yes, and they have, from what I can tell, they both have strong guts, so they don't need to be as disciplined. I mean, they can have a little bit more variety to their foods, no problem. No, it's no problem for me.
Yeah, and speaking of the gut, were there digestive changes for you when you started on the PKD diet and ongoing?
Yeah, so this is one of the things that happened that I wasn't paying attention. It was my chronic constipation got resolved. And that happened when I removed fiber completely from my diet. And I remember trying to fix my constipation by adding more fiber, this kind of fiber and that kind of fiber, and some fiber somewhere from another part of the world. Yeah. None of it worked. I was always feeling gassy, bloated, and I didn't have any improvements in my bowel movement. And removing off fiber helped me with chronic constipation, and that resolved within 10 days.
Very good. And did you have loose stools or anything like that?
No, not at all. No, I was on a completely opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to that.
Yes, everyone's different. Yes. And now, what's your digestive system feel like for you?
It's very good, very regular.
Yeah.
No, I don't have bloating at all. It's just never. I can have a big steak.
Yeah. And what about sleep? Your sleep?
Oh, sleep is perfect. And I credit this to giving up coffee. From my observations, I don't think coffee is triggering to my autoimmunity, because sometimes I do water fast and I will drink some decaf, no problems. But if I drank coffee on a regular basis, and if I drank more than 2 cups after 2 p.m., there's no way I'm going to go to sleep. Yeah. So I think in my case, my sleep was improved by giving up coffee. And
you mentioned fast. Is that a regular practice for you?
Yeah, I do. I've experimented with water fasting for the past 2 years. And I did anything between 48-hour fast and 10-day fast. And I found my sweet spot of 5 days, which are easy enough, yet challenging. So you get the benefits of both.
And are you still doing things like 5-day fast?
Yes. In fact, one of the first clues I got that it had to do something with my autoimmunity had to do something with my gut was doing the water fast, because my symptoms would improve when I was water fasting. And I started doing that before I discovered carnivore diet. Yeah, I do it about a few times a year.
A few times a year. So you still find benefits with a water fast for a few days.
Yeah, I say to everybody that I'm coaching is like, carnivore diet accelerates healing, water fasting accelerates detox.
Okay. Very good. And it sounds pretty extended, up to 5 days. That's a pretty extended fast.
Yeah.
Good for you. Are there, it sounds like incredible benefits with the arthritis, with pain, chronic pain. Any other things you've noticed? So
I think if I were to redefine my health issues, I would say that all of them stem from my leaky gut. Yeah. And rheumatoid arthritis, chronic constipation, and I also had chronic fatigue are actually symptoms of the imbalances in my gut and leakiness of it. Because along with rheumatoid arthritis, I also had this fatigue, just feeling exhausted all the time.
Did you ever was there ever a moment that things really went wrong with the gut? I mean, I've talked to several people who with gut issues, that there was a certain time a certain time in their life that they had a viral infection or or some kind of diarrhea or something happened that sort of accelerated a gut problem for them, a leaky gut problem for them. And I've heard so many people mention it. I'm just wondering if you found anything like that too.
Yeah, I think that there are at least a few factors that contributed to leakiness of my gut. I think for one, I think it is something in my family because my mom has similar issues. She also deals with autoimmunity. So I think there's definitely genetic component to it. Other things, in my 20s, I had a car accident that left me with head injury, and I was taking painkillers for over a year. And it was ibuprofen, which I now understand increases gut permeability. I was also for a while on the vegetarian diet, and also just a few months, but I was trying the vegan diet. And I think those diets as well contribute to a gut permeability if you are susceptible, if you have that genetic makeup. Wow. Also, I think during a party phase of my life, alcoholic beverages and cocktails. Alcohol is one of those biggest factors actually contributing to gut permeability.
Oh, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so when I graduated from college, I had a phase where I was going out a lot. And yeah, I like cocktails and partying, and New York City is really well suited for this. And yeah, I started researching it, and I realized that especially those alcoholic, sugary drinks are super bad for gut permeability.
So,
Other thing I think is also especially if you're vegetarian, you tend to overconsume grains. And there is a researcher, Alessio Fasano, showing that there is a connection between gluten triggering a molecule, zonulin, that opens up the tight junctions. And while in normal people, this opening of the tight junctions can be for about 15 to 20 minutes, for people that are prone to leaky gut, that can go on for 5 to 7 days. And everything that you eat thereafter will actually get into your bloodstream as well.
Is that the same with alcohol? Was there a time limit given, like that it would open up those tight junctions for?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But I'm thinking the fact that you mentioned that it would open up for 5 or 7 days makes me clues me in that maybe with other things it would be opening up temporarily and then closing back down, that the gut would probably try to reseal itself. And then if you're constantly assaulting it with things, it stays.
Exactly.
So I wonder how that is with alcohol. That's really interesting.
Oh yeah, I don't know the timing on how long does it do with consumption of alcohol, but I think Dr. Fasano was able to show it that gluten, and particularly zonulin, the release of that molecule causes the increased gut permeability for days in susceptible people.
Good to know. That's great. I'm curious, did you do a second test?
No, not yet, because I'm planning to do it, but what happened is when I submitted the last year, it took so long because then we ran into the lockdowns, and it took extra long to get the results. So I'll wait until the situations improve on the international front.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what I'm sure it's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And they've probably explained or shared with you the kinds of differences that people can see.
Yeah.
After a year.
No, they gave me a recommendation that I was a bad case. They told me in my diagnosis, I got a recommendation: seek medical attention now.
Oh, ASAP.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. That it was a high susceptibility to allergies, autoimmune processes, and anaphylactic reactions.
Anaphylactic. That's really interesting.
Something that my mom has. She had anaphylactic reactions many times throughout her life.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. Do you remember how much that test cost?
It's a little over $200. I want to say about $240.
And it's pretty much, I know it's international. You could, wherever you are, you could send
Right,
it.
as long as you can get, as long as you have FedEx around you.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have a special label for FedEx, because you have to have a special label for specimen, and they'll send it to you. But it has to be for FedEx.
Have you ever visited their clinic in Hungary?
Not yet, but it is on my to-do list.
Yeah, me too. I think it would be great to visit there. Yeah. Well, I'm really curious to hear about what your results are now with the next test.
Yeah, I would like to do it, and I am going to do it sometime in the future, as long as it won't take like 6 months.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah. And since you are a MeatRx coach, may I ask, what are some of the what is your way of coaching? What are some of the things that you like to do for your clients?
Yeah, I think the most important premise here is that changing relationship with food will transform your life in so many different ways. Not that you will only reverse chronic conditions, improve your overall health, but you will feel better mentally, emotionally, and you will develop discipline. And to develop discipline in diet is probably one of the most difficult tasks. But what's so great about discipline is that it is a transferable skill. So you can apply it to anything you want in life. And that's one of my philosophies I employ with people that I coach.
It's a great philosophy and so true. Yeah, you can apply it other parts of your life.
Yeah.
Very good. And how do you like being part of MeatRx?
Oh, it's super exciting because when I started seeing results with myself, and I started feeling so much better and so quickly, I started coaching everybody, my relatives, my mom, friends, everybody was on my diet. And then it occurred to me, I started blogging about it and documenting my experiences. And then I was like, what else can I do? And I was like, MeatRx.
Perfect. I'm so glad that you came onto the platform. Absolutely.
Yeah, I am super excited as well.
And you blog, do you blog on Instagram, or you have your separate blog, I guess?
Yeah, it's www.bigcitymom.com.
Okay, good. I'll find it. Well, it's been really great speaking with you, Sylvia.
Same here, Brooke.
And I'm curious and anxiously waiting what your test results are. I think it will be great to see the differences.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you.